What is going on, everyone? Coming at you with some more One Piece gameplay. Today it's the Battle of Red between Zoro and Ace. And for first play, we're going to see Zoro open up with the chopper. And generally you want to see a search return one, but I guess if you mulligan, you don't get it. But we're going to see an Izo come down for Ace here. Izo is one of those cards that is really strong because Whitebeard Pirates is a fantastic archetype. And being able to hit any card from that archetype always feels pretty good. Izo being able to hit any of the new event cards for Ace, as well as all of the Marcos, is really nice. And we're going to see another Izo. So we're already 10 cards deep here for Ace, getting a look and see, what we got, what we need, and also setting up two bodies which can be used to clear some of the smaller bodies. And we're going to grab the 4-cost Marco here, which is fantastic in Ace because you're basically always going to have a Whitebeard Pirate card to keep it. So we're going to see a 5k swing here at life with Zoro. They're going to take that, and then we're going to see a Curly Dodon played here. Dodon is just fantastic. Now you have so many 1-drops, so many different cards that you can search, and then we're going to see an Izo played, and right away we have 2 different cards played on the board, and the hand is actually filled back up as well. So that Dodon turned into 2 different cards, one of those being on the board and one of those being in hand. So Dodon just fantastic, Izo fantastic. All these 1-drops just enable Zoro to do so many different things. And though this deck is a little bit vulnerable to things like Fire Fist, Fire Fist is a pretty hefty cost because while you're going to be getting rid of 2 cards on board, you're getting rid of 2 cards from hand, and as we know in One Piece, card advantage is everything. So we're going to see Ace here swing 6, and Zoro's going to opt to take that, and it is a Whitebeard Pirate. I do believe it's a bit of a misplay here. The Whitebeard Pirates cannot grab event cards, they can only grab character cards, so I think we rectify this later on in the video, but we're going to see a Fire Fist come down and pop 2 cards here, pitching the Crossfire for the Fire Fist here, and that is a pretty big swing for Ace. The downside of this is they don't really have a ton of bodies on board, but we're going to see Zoro come down here, and then we're going to see a Marco come down and pop that Izo, and Marco is so good, he looks beautiful, and he does great things, and he's so hard to get rid of, especially in this new version of Zoro where you run a fair bit of event cards like Radical Beam, Whitebeard Pirates, and things like Fire Fist and Jet Pistol, so it's just a fantastic card all around. We're going to see another 6k swing here, and we're going to block that with Chopper just because, this is a 6-Dawn turn, and if you're swinging at 6, it's pretty obvious that a 5-cost Marco would come down and pop that Chopper anyways, so at least we get some value out of the Chopper here, and you're not going to lose your Marco at all, so you're feeling pretty good about that. I think one part about playing Ace that's difficult is knowing when to use event cards and knowing when to build a board, because the downside is you do all these things and you don't necessarily have bodies on board, but we're actually going to see a 5-drop Luffy come out and swing life, and we are going to counter out of that, but definitely something that wasn't expected to come down. But we're also going to swing twice at life here. Sorry, once at Luffy and once at life here from the Zoro. Just trying to get some cards out of Ace's hand here, force them to take some life as they are already at 3, and we're seeing countered out here, and we're seeing another Marco dropped, and then followed that by a Curly Dodon. So just a huge swing here. We're gonna get the Buggy as well off the Dodon, and now we have a fairly wide board, as well as 2 characters that aren't really ever gonna die, and a significant hand advantage as well over Ace right now. So I'm feeling pretty good about the Zoro game. I think the Zoro deck is super duper strong, and because you have so many different ways to just cycle your hand, it's pretty incredible. So we definitely love that. Luffy is going to swing 6 at life here, and we are going to take that because I don't really want to pitch a 2k at this point in the game, and I think that we can definitely get rid of this Luffy next turn. We want to save our 2ks for things like Flame Emperor, because that can really swing the matchup. I think Flame Emperor is a pretty good card, but we're going to see the Striker come down here, and we're not going to see him activate the Striker effect. The Ace is going to swing, and we're going down to 2 life here, and then a 5-cost Marco coming down to pop the Dodon, and that is that's a-okay. We have 2 Marcos on board. We're going to swing 6 at Luffy here, and we're definitely going to swing 6 again at Luffy, just because we don't want it to stay on board, and we do play like Choppers because they're a 1-cost and they're searchable with Nami. But he's just such a strong character, and so that Luffy's gonna go away, and then we're gonna swing 6 at leader here. And there's opting to take that one as well, because pitching a 2k at this point just feels kind of bad, especially when you know what Zoro can come down with, like right here. Like, this is a pretty large Dawn turn right now, and so while there aren't any 1-drops, we're gonna pay 2 here for a Dodon and see what we can grab, and there is an Otama there, so we are going to grab that Otama. Tama feels pretty good in this deck because it makes Marco, like, for 6 cost, you can hit a 5k, and you get a body on board. And Tama's not necessarily dead on board for Zoro because you're playing things like Makino. Marco's going to be pitched to counter out of that. We're going to see a Buggy come down, and Buggy is just an unnecessary card. I think he's so strong in Zoro because he's hard to remove. He's 3k, and he's a 1 cost, and he searches for events, which, like, things like Radical Beam or Whitebeard Pirates are pretty crazy, so we definitely love to see that. That Whitebeard Pirates is going to whiff here, unfortunately, because, again, only can take character cards, so unfortunate that it does whiff, but it is what it is, because we're going to go ahead and see a another jet pistol come down for the Marco, and what that jet pistol does, I think, is just checks to see if there's any event cards in the Ace's hand, and we do actually manage to get a Fire Fist out, which feels pretty good here, because if they had that Fire Fist in hand, they could have blown up the board here. They could have gotten rid of the blocker and you know, Buggy or Danon, and now even if they do have the Fire Fist, that's going to be 2 more cards from their hand that they're going to have to commit to getting rid of those cards, and they only have 4 cards in hand right now, so committing 2 of your 4 cards in hand, as well as playing something, could be basically the end of the game, because we already see that we have 3 swings on board that they're not going to get rid of, because 2 of them are Marco and 1's the leader, and we could buff them up enough to a point where if you only have 2 cards in hand, the math is pretty simple and you can just end the game. So now they have to be pretty careful on what they decide to do. So things like Ace could come down here, things like Seaquake could be played to get rid of some of these smaller characters. So we do see a Seaquake on the chopper here, which, I mean, I feel like that's okay, but the problem is that, like, now you have 3 cards in hand, and that Seaquake just kind of tells me that you don't have a Fire Fist. So pitching that Fire Fist off of your Marco, I think, puts you in a position where it's basically do or die this turn. So I think there is an Ace in hand. I think we did see Ace. So Ace is going to come down here, and they're going to minus 3k on both the Marcos. But I think also going after Marco here is kind of a trap. I think you kind of had to push for game here. So they're going to swing at Marco. It's going to die. We're going to pitch an event card, and it's going to come back at 6k. I think if you're going to go for this Ace play, I think you definitely just killed the blocker with Seaquake, and then you go at life with the remaining Dawn. We're going to see 6 at Marco, and again, we're going to pitch a Radical Beam to protect it, and it's going to come back rested, and it's 6k again. So, I mean, Marco's not really going anywhere. Again, we're seeing another swing at Marco, and we're going to pitch 2 more 2k counters to get out of it. And the board is full. There's 2 cards in Ace's hand, and we have a pretty wide board for Zoro. So first thing we're going to do here is pay Nami, and we're going to grab a 3-cost Zoro, because, again, we basically cycled through our entire deck at this point of the game, so we're going to go ahead and grab that Zoro. And then at this point, it's just doing some math here. All of the Dodons are 4k, Buggy's at 4k, and we're going to swing Marco for 7 at leader here. They're going to trigger a Fire Fist, and that's going to pop the Buggy. We're going to swing 7 again with Marco here as well. Again, 7 just feels like a pretty good number here. They're going to take that here. We're going to swing 5 with a Dawn, and then we're going to go ahead and swing 8 with leader, and that's game. Zoro taking the matchup, and there still was Rush Zoro afterwards. So thanks for tuning in, and until next time, Monty out.